I do this set, which very few people understand, where I do the 7 stages of how to write an FIR if you are
Oh,
raped.
okay.
Because I have covered so it's not easy. I have documented the life of gang rape survivors in Gujarat. I stayed with them over months. So Kingfisher, at that point, was trying to launch a wine for men.
Okay, wine for men.
Men. So
Okay.
I'm sitting in Delhi, which is typically a nice Tamil girl like me, half Tamil. We always say Delhi men are like that, be careful, which is not wrong. But my brand sponsors are only condoms and those oils that help you with
Oh,
you know what, right? And I'm selling it and I'm like, Japani tel le lijiye, aapki raat ke sukoon ke liye. The problem with stand up in India is it is very restricted to the so-called capital city. How is
yes.
it love if you're hitting me and if I hit you, it's not love? The police doesn't have time to write an FIR, so they said, listen, don't remove those clothes. There could be semen
How
stains.
A crime reporter, Gujarat's first woman stand up comedian, a radio jockey, a storyteller who is much loved by students and kids all over India and abroad. If I could just start counting what all defines you, that could take the whole day. And I could be talking about a million people when I'm talking about you because you represent a lot of people. We're so honored to have Miss Preethi Das here with us today. Very warm welcome to our podcast. We're going to ask you about how did you, and we'll fill up the rest as we go along.
Thank you so much for that amazing welcome. I love the fact that you said I seem like a split personality with so many things,
No.
but that's me, and I have no shame about it. So
And you shouldn't. You should be proudly
absolutely.
flaunting as you are. And please tell us, how did you create the trajectory of the professional life that you've had so far? Where did it start? How did you reach here?
So there was no planning, honestly. I've always loved any form of mass communication.
Mhm.
I studied that and then I became a very serious reporter.
Okay.
And I'll just tell you that, as a reporter, we are not trained to deal with real life situations.
Oh,
Yeah, we're not.
okay.
Life makes you do it.
Right.
So the books, they don't train you. So I remember, I don't know if, our listeners would, I mean, of course, when you Google, you'll know that the tsunami, uh, which is popularly called, it hit Nagapatnam and it started from the Andaman Islands. I was a very young reporter and I forgot the word tsunami when I'm reporting.
Oh,
And like a fool on national TV, I was the first one to give that news because I was near the beach. And I'm reporting in Hindi. I'm saying, Pani piche ja raha hai, Pani piche ja raha hai. And I'm feeling like an idiot saying, there was a word for this. No, what?
it's called something.
It's called something. No, and Pani piche ja raha hai, Pani. I'm feeling like those over dramatic Ekta Kapoor serial. And I'm like, wait. So I'm saying that for me, uh, there was honestly no planning. I have
Right.
always followed my heart, my passion. I also left my first job just like that because I was upset.
Upset
Yeah, I was just upset. I
with the
was upset
outcomes
that,
of what you were doing, or
yeah, and I'm like, wait, I have learned something about
okay.
journalism. I have learned it is neutral. I have learned that I'm not supposed to take sides. I have learned that when people die, because another channel is saying 150, I am not supposed to find 10 more bodies and say, I am reporting 160. That was the pressure on me. So I just walked out saying, this I can't do with no
Okay.
plan. And I think that has worked in my favor always.
Definitely, because you explored more facets to yourself. So,
Absolutely.
from that resignation, how did you then choose, okay, maybe stand up comedy is something that I need to do now? Was that immediate, or did
No,
you
no, no,
do
no. I
several things
had
in
I had a
between?
lot of long, I know, spaces between me and stand-up comedy.
Like,
There was reporting. I did come back to journalism also again,
okay,
and when I came back, I think my stories then got me two very big awards.
wonderful.
I have documented the life of gang rape survivors in Gujarat. I stayed with them over months, and the process of them being pregnant to delivering that baby, who could be the baby of any of the gang rapist alleged, their journey, the emotion, what happens after the baby is delivered, what happens to the baby, what happens to the woman, her social status, everything. So I was there as a television reporter, and then I quit. I took some time out. I just traveled,
Okay,
and then I landed a lovely job with ActionAid International as the tsunami coordinator
all
for
right.
India and Sri Lanka. So for me, it was then working with the marginal communities, the Irula tribes, the communities in Sri Lanka, who were surviving, but we're not getting the kind of funding that was needed. So after that, I also did market research. So you'll not believe it. I have done crazy stuff. I was in Delhi.
Okay.
So Kingfisher at that point was trying to launch a wine for men.
Okay, wine for men.
Men. So
Okay.
I'm sitting in Delhi, which is typically a nice Tamil girl like me, half Tamil. We always say Delhi men are like that, be careful, which is not wrong. But so I'm sitting there with these men and they're all drinking wine and nicely getting drunk. And I'm asking about
You're
taste,
supposed to research what's happening there
research
as
and
they're
ask if
drinking.
you still feel like a man, because wine is typically a girl's drink. So I have done all that, like in the shadiest of places. I have like tried to figure out how do you feel if you use this. Then, like you, I
Okay.
was a radio jock. I used to do the night band, and for some odd reason, people think night time
It's for
is
romance.
no for
No?
sex only, straight,
Straight, okay. Of
straight.
course, I forgot who I'm speaking to. You have no
Correct.
filters and you
No,
don't
no
need
filters.
filters.
I doubt if you'll even put this podcast out, but I
We
will
will,
keep
promise
my
you.
dignity in place.
Please go ahead.
So for me, for some odd reason, nice songs. Okay, those
Okay.
lovely 70s, 80s songs that I love listening to, Hindi songs. But my brand sponsors are only condoms and those oils that help you with
Oh.
you know what, right? And I'm selling it and I'm like, Japani tel le lijiye, aapki raat ke sukoon ke liye. And then I'm playing one Rekha song. And I'm like, wait, what is it? People don't do this in the day or what? Like, why are you making me sell all this while my day jocks are selling nice products, And like,
Right.
it's a very
Daily
dignified
use products
show.
which people might want to know a little more about.
Yeah. So this happened. So all I'm saying is for me, life is, I've taken it as it comes, but one or two things I've always been very particular about is reading, traveling like mad. And I think always staying connected to the stage. For me, the stage is I think they use that word vipassana, no? That
Right.
for me, it's my space of meditation. It could be in any form. It could be
Beautiful.
writing, it could be merely anchoring, it could be theater that I have got back. Like a nice Indian woman, I've had my baby, and now I'm like back to acting. I'm doing a lot of other things which I could not do for a very long time. And stand up also was mere coincidence. It's been 13 years to that
When we come into
coincidence.
stand up, what I'd like to ask you is you're very particular about the venues you choose.
Yes.
You're not commercializing your talent. You're not selling tickets in big venues. You're not recording them in YouTube. You're not putting it across like that. You're going to people. They
Yeah.
are houses, maybe.
Yeah.
They are
Yeah.
societies.
Yeah.
So, again, how did you choose stand up as a medium and how did you design the kind of stand up you want to do?
So I'll tell you, because you said this is going to be unfiltered.
Yes.
Stand up comics are all over now. Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, out of 10, 8 will be men.
Mostly, yes.
Out of those 8, 6 are only talking about masturbation jokes and dating. And beyond 5 minutes, I can't listen to
Unfortunately,
your
that's also
problems.
true.
I can't listen to your dating again and again. The problem with stand up in India is it is very restricted to the so called capital cities or cities where they think there's talent. Yeah, so a lot of people have said, why don't you reach out to Netflix? I'm like, yeah, I will. That is okay. But for
They'll
me,
reach out to me.
yeah, but for me, I don't need to go to Bombay because where I am, I have worked and been in spaces with humor that no one else can think of. I come from Gujarat. There's a place called Vapi, which is the chemical head. You know what I mean? That they provide a lot, they make a lot of the chemicals.
It's a factory-based
It's a
system.
factory-based system. So
Okay.
they're migrants. So I did a show 2 years ago with the women who
Oh.
haven't studied at all.
All right.
Who spend the entire day in dangerous spaces,
Working
with
with
the
chemicals.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they said, make them laugh. And I'm like, me, my urban whole thing. How? And they're all a mix of across the country, the women from Bihar, from Jharkhand, name it, all castes. And I'm like, okay. But what started as a 30-minute thing went on for 2 hours.
Wow.
And for me, even today, 13 years, that's one show that I think I cried after that. And they cried because they were not just laughing. The kind of things they were saying, the moment barriers break, women talking about their struggles themselves. And by struggle, I don't mean a yo, power, and all that. No. So one happily said, my husband is in jail. So the other is asking, what do you do for fun? She says, what do you mean? If my husband is in jail, I can't go out with another man or what? And I'm like, wow.
You
So
brought
for
out that
me,
rawness out
that
of
came
them.
out. So for me, that was a great platform to use my content again.
Right.
Right? So stand up, I feel, is a powerful tool that unfortunately has become urban centric to these stupid jokes, or people just trying to give you philosophy of life that, do this. But when you actually take it, pay humor in all the navrasas is the most difficult rasa to do.
Completely agree with you
And
on
when
that.
you do this with people, and when they do it, it brings out their pain in ways that you cannot believe. So imagine people, we're talking about domestic violence. So when we curated, and it's their own words, all I do is I say, okay, listen, pause here, do this, maybe make this a little dramatic. So there was this conversation between two village women, and I said immediately, you have to use this. They say that my husband beats me, so the other one says it's his way of showing love. So this one says, even if I show love like that and give two nice sandals and chappals, I'm like, this is a great point for me to build on.
Good.
How
Yeah.
is it love if you're hitting me? And if I hit you, it's not love. So so for me, it's such a powerful tool. In fact, I teach also theories. I teach something which is
To
called the
your
history of
listeners, to
humor.
your audience.
To my audience, to my students, I'm a teacher as well.
Right,
So
okay.
I do something which is called performing humor and the history of humor. So I take you back to Aristotle, Tenali Rama, Birbal. Humor has always been a part of our culture everywhere. And humor doesn't mean your audience has to laugh.
You can make them think and it
Even
would
if they're
be
silent, it has
successful.
worked, I feel, because most people to say something funny will either be making fun of the audience, or they'll be like, let me do one vulgar joke. They will not get a vulgar joke. So immediately they will only use abuses which are targeting women. That's the
Definitely.
only thing they'll say. And even the audience, I'm so sorry, I get angry at the audience because they're applauding at the abuse.
True.
Right? And all the abuses, are around a mother and a sister or the private parts of a woman.
Which is where your stand up routine titled Ma Behan comes into
Yeah,
place. You've
yeah,
tried your best to
yeah,
create a space
yeah.
to redirect where comedy is going today.
Absolutely. And it's been a struggle because every time people are like, I don't understand your comedy, I'm like, it's okay. You don't need to
You'll get there. It's
understand.
okay.
Yeah, you'll get there. But I'll tell you another very interesting thing. I did this piece on the 25th of November, which I'm looking at doing other places. I call it LSD,
Okay.
which is love, sex, and because I'm from Gujarat, there's a food called dhokla.
Dhokla.
Yeah, and I'm
Okay.
doing this now in South, and it's called love, sex, and dosa. LSD.
Wonderful.
Every place has a food with D.
Sure.
So the thing is, I've sort of broken it into three segments, and I've talked about love, sex, and how I feel as a woman, my body, the market pressure, and many things. Like for example, as a mom, the nursery rhyme I have for my child is things like head, shoulder, knees and toes, knees and toes.
Right.
And it's so convenient, right? That you
Yeah.
have forgotten what is between the shoulders and this.
True.
And that's where children are curious. That's where you have to teach consent. Because you say chichi, private part, we'll call it poo, we'll call it this. You call it for what it is. So even traditionally, we don't like talking about things like that. You know where this comes from? Because as a crime reporter, I have only dealt with gang rape cases of young children and of very vulnerable women. And I use that as a spectrum, this side, for humor to say, where is the cause of it? I do this set, which very few people understand, where I do the 7 stages of how to write an FIR if you are
Oh,
raped.
okay.
Because I have covered so it's not easy. It's not
I
easy.
can't imagine how
It's not
difficult it would
easy.
actually be.
It is to imagine for a woman who
Goes through
is
that. God
also
forbid.
who
Yeah.
is maybe not even literate, right? Because, and I remember this because I did a story. I didn't know. I just walked in and somebody was saying, "Ki, this woman has not taken a bath for 7 days," and I'm like, I mean, that was not a story, but I'm like, I just asked her what happened. And very casually, she's telling me that she was gang raped, and the police doesn't have time to write an FIR. So they said, "Listen, don't remove those clothes. There could be semen
How
stain."
unfortunate.
And I'm like, and then she just looked into my eyes and said one beautiful thing. She said, "I want to take a bath to just feel clean after all that I've been through."
Can't
She said,
imagine.
"Just one mug of water I want to put on my body, and the police are not letting me do that." So then my series of not just rape, but and what are you doing with 7 days of your semen stain? It'll still be there apparently. I don't know. So I'm saying that these are small nuances, but the kind of humor that I continuously, and it's been a struggle, it continues to be a struggle. I
As
work
much.
on is this when people are doing dating jokes and my girlfriend is this and she, lives off my money and hey, mine is big, yours is small. In the middle of that, I like little trying to do that.
And successfully so. And as much as I want to ask you more about that route,
Yeah.
you yourself took a detour, or rather an additional route to reach the children
Yeah.
through storytelling.
Yeah.
Again, you
Yeah.
have a mission there, but everything can't be about mission when it's with kids. You
Yeah.
need to have fun.
Yeah.
So how did that deviation happen, and how did you reach to their hearts
I
directly?
think it happened after I became a mum,
Okay.
and a very angry mum, because I'm like, how do I teach my child caste?
Oh,
How do I teach my child diversity
right.
in a country now where I am scared, in all honesty, to say even things to my friend anymore? How do I let my child stand in dignity and say, hey, this is a narrative that is one way. Let's listen to it from the other way. So all I do is with little ones, and I think 2 to 6 year old is when they're forming opinions very beautifully through high energy stories,
True.
which is a part of culture. Like here, I've got packets and packets of khakras. My storytelling is on Sunday.
Okay.
So I'm going to do this entire story of how food has always been recycled in India and it's just tastier. So for me, children, their hearts are through a lot of jumping, being with them, and not treating them like children. The problem is when many of us talk to children, we'll go, "Ayo, kutti papa," and like
True.
talk to them like the way you and me are
You
talking
can't
and
sometimes
saying.
differentiate whether they're talking to their kid or their dog.
Dog, absolutely right,
Yes.
absolutely. So for me, as and who's I'm also working on understanding the fact that this generation that you think has information and technology is, I'm happy I'm not a part of it. It's extremely heartbreaking to see these kids. The first time I asked a 4-year-old in my workshop, I gave a book and I said, read tomorrow, we'll do stories. I'm not lying when I'm saying this. He looked into my eyes and said, password kidhar hai?
Whoa,
And
for a
I'm like,
book?
that's a book.
Okay.
And it's not the child's fault,
No, it's not.
right?
It's our fault. As a
Correct,
society, it's our fault.
correct. And I don't want to go there. So I try to bring in stories of inclusivity where I have a hero who is a woman, and I have a woman who is possibly physically challenged. Because how do you have empathy? How do you not understand bullying? It's by understanding that, okay, someone who doesn't have eyes can also be my superhero in some way. So
Definitely.
I actually create a lot of stories with the children, and then I believe in touch, feel, smell, which we have lost a lot. We
Yes.
don't do that anymore.
We're
The only
lucky to have people like you who actually bring back this new life into storytelling. And of course, we're eagerly waiting the book that you're preparing. That's
yes,
an inside
yes, yes,
information. So,
yes, yes.
amidst all that, all this has been about your work. I know you're passionate about your work, but what do you do to relax? I would like to wind up by asking you, how do you wind down?
Typically it's very fashionable to say I read books, and
Yes.
I
Or meditate.
I don't do either.
Don't do either.
No, listen, I eat junk food and I watch movies.
No, that's acceptable. That's perfectly
I think
fine.
it's very scary to say that, like, junk food. Oh my God, you're propagating it. But
You
yeah,
need
I do eat
that.
junk
When you're
food.
doing
Yeah.
so much, you need something.
Yeah, and I then do stories on junk food.
Wonderful.
Yeah, what you eat is a story. What you do is a story. Everything is a story.
Great. So you're here in Kerala right now talking to us. You're here to attend events. You're going to interact with kids and, of course, from people from all genres in life, all sections. And I would like to leave an open-ended question for you, requesting you to answer. That's the title of our podcast. How did you? And you can carry on from there.
How did I do all that I do? I think it's just sheer determination. It's just love, nothing else. I just love what I do, and if I don't love, I leave. People say you're a quitter. I'm like, it's okay.
Perfectly
I
fine.
don't love, I leave. It's fine. It could be a job. It could be a relationship. It could be a book. I'm like, I don't want to read it. I don't want to complete this torture. It's fine. But what I love when I do, I see it till the end. So
Wonderful. It's been
yeah.
an honor and a pleasure to speak to you.
Likewise,
Thank you.
likewise. Good luck with your podcast, all of you.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye.